This week on HBO's Inside the NFL. Kansas City scores 44 points on the league's highest-ranking defense. A big factor continues to be the ageless Marcus Allen, who is trying to carry the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. Jaguars quarterback Mark Brunell joins us to talk about their playoff hopes. And a look back at one of the greatest Dallas Cowboys of all time, defensive lineman Jethro Pugh. And now, the show the pros watch, Inside the NFL, with your hosts, Len Dawson, Nick Bonaconti, Chris Collinsworth, and Jerry Glanville.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's show. There's a great slate of games on tap this weekend, games that will help clear up the playoff picture. We'll discuss those matchups in a minute or two, but there's a couple of issues we need to discuss right now. First of all, Eddie DeBartolo Jr., the owner of the San Francisco 49ers, relinquished control of his team amid reports that he allegedly offered a bribe to secure a gambling license in the state of Louisiana. Now, Chris, you're innocent until proven guilty in this country. Do you think the league had anything to do with that?
Well, I called the league office and I asked if Commissioner Paul Tagliabue had forced Eddie DeBartolo to step down. They denied that. But they did admit that once DeBartolo came up with the idea to step down, that the commissioner certainly didn't stand in his way. And Lenny, you know how it is in this league. Anytime you bring up the issue of gambling or casino and associate it with the National Football League in any way, shape, or form, it's going to raise red flags.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing, guys. If Eddie DeBartolo is indicted, and of course that is a big if, he will go through the worst nightmare anybody can ever think of, because for the next year or year and a half, he'll be defending the DeBartolo name, but more than that, he's going to be defending his right to be a free man.
I'll tell you, a guy that got new life was running back Lawrence Phillips, who used to play for the Rams, only he got cut by Dick Vermeil. All of a sudden, he is signed by the Miami Dolphins and Jimmy Johnson on a 2-year contract. Now, I'll tell you something, mister over there, Jerry, you were known as a coach who could handle these guys who weren't just choir boys. Now,
we had some bad guys.
Look at that situation. Would you have signed him?
Absolutely not. And my belief is if you're having problems with a player that's played for you, he's helped you win, you give him a second chance. But I'm disappointed in Jimmy Johnson. I don't think you go out and get the bum of the week club. I don't think you go out and get somebody else's problems. Here's a guy that's not doing what he's supposed to do socially. He's not coming to practice. He's not on time. And I think what happens in the National Football League is if you've got athletic ability and you can play, there's always some team there out there will say, hey, come try one more time with me. And I don't believe in that. If he's a bum, he's a bum.
I'll tell you one thing about Jimmy Johnson. He's not trying to rehab him like Dick Vermeil did. Jimmy Johnson's going to have some rules, and he says, if you break the rules, pal, you're out of here.
Yeah, but at least he didn't go out there and punch a coach like Latrell Sprewell of the Golden State Warriors did in basketball. But we all know one thing, that the players control the NBA. They hire and fire most coaches. So far, that has not happened in the NFL. Hey, but with free agency, it may not be too far off.
Well, it's unfortunate we have to talk about these subjects, but hey, that is life.
That's it.
Let's talk about what is good, some highlights. We start our highlights in Detroit, where Thanksgiving was spent carving up the bears, not turkeys.
Detroit is often the setting for Elmore Leonard novels where a collection of grifters and thieves filch valuable things. A Thanksgiving swindle by the Bears almost fleeced the Lions' playoff hopes.
Wide open, Ricky Goal cuts it back right to the 40. He's to the 35-30, to the 25, cutting right, trying to pick up a block from Curtis Conway, to the 10, to the 5, to the end zone, touchdown!
The Bears cat-burgled a 14-0 lead, but from that point, the Lions rallied to outscore Chicago 55-6. The flashpoint for victory was the NFL's flashiest runner.
When in doubt, give it to Berry.
From the Chicago 40, there's Berry, up the middle, 35, cuts to the right, 30, cuts it back over the middle, 20, 40 yards, the Painter, Barry Sanders, holy mackerel.
What an explosion
confusion by this offense. Into Barry. Cut back over the middle of the 25 to the 20. Breaks a tackle to the 15. Stops, starts, 10-5. Touchdown Lions. Holy mackerel.
Barry Sanders, who became the NFL's second all-time leading rusher, ran for 167 yards and 3 touchdowns, while the defense held the Bears to 67 yards in the second half.
Look out. He is belted by Robert Bailey. Picked up by Tracy Scroggins. Touchdown Lions.
The surging Lions won their 3rd straight in a sting that even Elmore Leonard would have been proud of. In Buffalo, the concern of Bill Parcells proved justified as his Jets stumbled badly. Quarterbacking on both sides was brutal. The Bills' Todd Collins was just 12 for 31 passing and was sacked 3 times. But both Collins and Neil O'Donnell had their moments.
Right, O'Donnell, couple of pumps, throws to the end zone. He's got Keyshawn. Touchdown Jets.
The Jets tied the game at 10, but one magnificent play may have changed the course of their season.
Daring a pass, and they're going to get one here. They blitz up the middle. Here's a throw, and Johnson's got it. 40-yard line. What a play by Lonnie Johnson. Unbelievable. 62 yards.
While the Jets' record fell to 2-5 in the AFC East, their division rivals, the Patriots, were out-hustled, outplayed, but not outscored by the luckless Colts. Quarterback Jim Harbaugh directed a plucky Colt attack that produced over 400 yards. Drew Bledsoe's second touchdown pass gave the Pats a 20-10 fourth-quarter lead.
Fires end zone. Touchdown. Troy Brown.
With just over a minute to play, Captain Comeback almost delivered a miracle finish.
Jimmy throws to the end zone. Touchdown.
But the Patriots recovered an onside kick and gave cockeyed optimists a reason to predict a championship.
Let's go, Jaguars! Let's go! Let's go, Jaguars! Let's go!
The Ravens have recently snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, while the Jaguars have snatched young fans from jaws.
Yeah, a child got his head stuck in the statue, and they had to come and saw the tooth out. They gave the kid the tooth, and I guess he got his head out, and I hope they can repair it because it's a nice part of the stadium. But I'm glad the kid's okay.
Go, Jaguars!
3 of Baltimore's last 4 games have been decided on the final play, but the Ravens have no wins to show for those nail-biters. So last Sunday, they tried to decide the game in the first half.
It's picked off by the Ravens. There goes Antonio Langham at the 25 and the 20. There he goes at the 15 and the 10. Inside move at the 5, into the end zone. Touchdown, Ravens.
Way to work, Peter. Way to work, Peter. That's the way to go, baby.
Vinny Testaverde's pass to wide receiver Jermaine Lewis gave Baltimore a 14-3 second-quarter lead and placed Jacksonville's 12-game home winning streak in jeopardy. But the Jaguars soothed their savage crowd with a spirited comeback led by quarterback Mark Brunell. The Southpaw slinger completed 25 of 40 passes, including this 44-yarder to Jimmy Smith.
8 slot wide, 76 streak, X shallow, Z to side, Y hook.
Brunell was all pumped up about his season-high 317 yards passing, and this third-quarter strike gave the Jaguars a 23-14 lead.
He's got Damon Jones at the 5, carrying defenders into the end zone. Touchdown, Damon Jones.
An injured Testaverde gave way to backup quarterback Eric Zaire, who led the Ravens to 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. Trailing 29-27 with a minute left, Baltimore needed a 2-point conversion to tie the score.
What do you call it now? What do you call it?
Zaire under center for 2 points to tie the football game.
But the Ravens revisited their final play failings with a trip down memory lane.
He falls down at the 3-yard line. They don't get it.
Jacksonville has been thrust into the role of AFC heavyweight, and this week they'll host New England, the reigning conference champ.
The Jaguars are tied for first place now with 3 games to go, and a win on Sunday will clinch a playoff berth. Now let's bring on their quarterback, Mark Brunell. And Mark, had a chance to watch you play last week. Looks like that knee's 100% now.
The knee's feeling great. It is 100%, and it's nice to have that injury behind me.
You know, Mark, the one thing that happened to this team last year, though, was Natron Means about this time of year really took off and you established that balance on offense. But I just don't get the feeling the running game is where it was a season ago at this time.
I'd have to agree with you. We're not where we want to be right now as far as the running game, and that was the key for us last year. We were able to run the football and created that balance that we were looking for. We're kind of hit and miss with the run right now. It's we certainly need guys to step up and establish the run, and that's going to help us.
You know, after last season, Kevin Gilbride, he gets his own job, goes off to San Diego, and your new play caller, Chris Palmer, is he committed to the run as much as Kevin was?
No question. Coach Palmer's committed to the run, and he realizes that we've got to have the running game going if we want to be successful, if we want to keep the ball, if we want to put points on the board, so we're certainly working on it. We're hitting it every day and trying to improve in that area, but I think we're gonna be all right with that.
Mark, this week the Patriots, the team that kept you out of a Super Bowl a season ago, does that make this one a little extra special?
It certainly does. You know, this we remember that game very clearly, and it's been in our minds for quite some time, and so I don't think it's going to be a problem for our players to get up for this game. This is a big one for us.
You know, I know you've gone back and looked at the film from last year with the Patriots, and you're looking at them this year. What's the big changes on defense?
Well, I think there's, as far as their scheme, some of the things they're doing coverage-wise and with their front seven, there's some differences there, but they still have that talent. They've got a lot of players over there that can play football, and they're very aggressive, very physical. So this week we once again got our work cut out for us.
You know, up at Green Bay, they have a tradition there, Lambeau Field. It's so hard to win there. And right now, a young team like yours, 14 wins in a row at home. Tell us about your home field advantage.
Well, I think we're establishing a tradition right now. We play good football at home. We've got good fans backing us, and I think it's a tough place to come in and play. And we've got a pretty good confidence going for us right now when we're at home, and that's helped us. You know, you've got to win at home if you want to be in it at the end. So that's been real good.
Mark, after you watch Kansas City knock off San Francisco the way that they did last week, you guys have to feel like you're in a pretty good position because your team manhandled the Chiefs.
Well, we had a good day when we played the Chiefs, and guys really got up for that game, played with a lot of emotion, a lot of intensity, and so, you know, they're a good team. There's no question, and it does make you feel pretty good when you see that you've beaten a team like that, and just gives your team that much more confidence.
Mark, thanks for taking some time, and good luck this week.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Lenny, my man, Mark Brunell has got his game face on already.
Well, we don't have any game faces on over here because Nick and I are going to talk about New England going to Jacksonville. It's simple for the Jags, Nick. If they win, they'll go to the playoffs for the second year in a row. And for the Patriots, they're tied in the AFC East with the Dolphins and the Jets, so they need to win to keep pace.
I think it's very simple for the Jaguars. Tony Baselli, all-world tackle, he's back. The offensive line must dominate. They have to get the running game going. Mark Brunell said he's not happy with the running game. Why? They're averaging 122 yards a game for the last 5 ball games. They got that two-headed running attack, Means and Stewart. They lead the NFL in rushing touchdowns with 18. I think they're rushing the ball pretty good. This week it goes Baselli against Willie McGinnis, the defensive end linebacker for the Patriots. I think Baselli dominates and the Jags win.
I think the Jags are going to win, not necessarily for their running attack, but their passing attack. How are the Patriots going to handle the passing attack of Jacksonville? They couldn't handle Indianapolis with Harbaugh throwing, and Harbaugh had missed a few ball games, and he threw for over 300 yards. We got Smith receiving over 1,000 yards receiving. McCardle over 800 yards. They got a new weapon right now. Damon Jones, the tight end, in his first start, caught a touchdown pass. So like you, I like Jacksonville over New England. Gentlemen, what do you think of that?
Well, Jerry, not that it matters, but what do you think of this game?
It matters to them. I'm gaining on these two, by the way. And I hate to agree with these two guys, but the New England Patriots, they're going to play hard, but they're in real trouble. They've lost both speed wideouts. Terry Glenn and Sean Jefferson aren't going to be able to play. They're injured. And now Jacksonville can stop Curtis Martin by bringing that 8-man front up there, take away the run, Jacksonville. I hate to agree. Jacksonville wins.
You know, your picks have been getting a lot better since you started agreeing with those guys. I didn't want to bring that up. But the one thing that I don't like about Jacksonville is the fact with all the injuries that they've had at the defensive tackle position, they seem to be wearing out now in the fourth quarter. It happened again last week. They've had to take guys like Clyde Simmons and Jeff Logman and move them in there, and those guys just look exhausted by the end of the football game. But I agree with you, and I agree with Lenny Dawson, that by the end of this one, the Jaguars' passing game should be the difference here. Well, it is that time of year, though, when the teams start doing a little scoreboard watching. And after the Jaguars' early victory last week, you know that that entire team was keeping a close eye on the Arizona-Pittsburgh game.
Bill Cowher returned to the desert for the first time since Super Bowl 30. And who could blame him for laughing? Despite having only 9 players who started in that Super Bowl still starting last Sunday, the Steelers just kept rolling along. Jerome Bettis ran for 142 yards and broke a third-quarter tie with his second touchdown. But Jake Plummer matched him with 2 through the air. Chris Gedney's touchdown tied the game at 17. With 11 seconds left in the fourth, Joe Nedney had a chance to win it.
To try to win the game, the left footer has the ball down. The kick is on its way. Nedney's kick is long enough, high enough, and wide right. 6 seconds to go, and we are headed for overtime.
In overtime, Plummer didn't stand a chance. The Steelers tied a franchise record with their 10th sack, putting the ball on the bus for one last run.
They give us to the bus. He breaks a tackle. He's at the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown. Game over.
And I want to tell you, Dirk Dawson, the all-time everything center, he took on that Brent Alexander, the safety man. And I'm telling you, Dirk Dawson double blocked that guy's brains out. Yoy and double yoy and triple yoy.
Expect Bettis and Cowher to stay fired up for this week's showdown with the Broncos, a team that's rolled through the opposition all season on the strength of one of the league's most well-balanced offenses. John Elway complimented Terrell Davis's 178 yards rushing with 3 touchdown passes, 1 to Rod Smith. The Chargers kept things respectable with their first offensive touchdown in 10 quarters and added some excitement when Eric Metcalf set an NFL record with his 9th career punt return for a touchdown.
Metcalf back at the 18 has got it. Starts left, cuts right up the middle to the 20, to the 30, goes to the 40. One man to beat the kicker to the 50. Down the sidelines. Metcalf has got to go all the way and score. Touchdown, San Diego!
But the outcome of this one was never really in question. Denver safety Steve Atwater made sure of that by returning a second-quarter interception for the first touchdown of his 9-year career. The Dolphins traveled to a longtime house of horrors in search of their own first. Miami had never won a game in Oakland. But the Raiders don't scare anybody these days, and Dan Marino torched the league's worst defense with a pair of second-quarter touchdowns to Charles Jordan.
He's back to pass. He has time. He fires downfield. What a snag at the 30-yard line. Down to the 20, the 15, the 10. Charles Jordan trots in for a touchdown. What a catch.
Leading 24-10, Miami's defense put the game away.
On Jeff George back to pass. Here's a blitz on him again. They get him. Zach Thomas. Is it a safety? Fumble. Is it a fumble? Is it a safety? What is it? It's a touchdown, Miami.
While the Dolphins finally struck a winning pose in Oakland, the Raiders will hope to have more to smile about this week in Kansas City.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. Well, all year long, people have been asking about the 49ers. Is this team for real? They've won 11 in a row, but there are some people that think they haven't played anybody all season long. Well, they play somebody today, the Kansas City Chiefs, maybe the best team in the AFC, still with a chance to overtake Denver for the best record in their conference. This is a great showdown between two outstanding organizations, both dedicated to one thing, reaching the Super Bowl.
All right, men, let's go.
10-3, baby, 10-3.
It's time to let the heart beat. Let's go. We got to go one play at a time. We're doing it together.
In a battle of Super Bowl contenders, one team rose to the occasion. The other inspired more doubt.
Big pattern left. They want Andre Rison. He's got it. Touchdown, Kansas City. Touchdown, Andre Rison. His first in a month. Burning Darnell Walker.
You got him all day. You got him all day, baby. That's
the way to go. Great job. Great work.
Reserve quarterback Rich Gannon peppered the NFL's #1 defense with 3 touchdown passes. Kansas City dominated every phase of the game.
Back is Van Open. Hunter will stand at his own 20.
Blocked! It's blocked at the 15-yard line. It is blocked and picked up by Tony Gonzalez. Made the block. Kansas City, first down and goal to go at the 2.
Only one team had run the ball into the end zone against the 49ers all season. Marcus Allen made that too, climbing into 6th place on the all-time rushing list.
Marcus Allen, the tailback, right side, touchdown, Kansas City, touchdown, Marcus Allen, his 121st career touchdown.
Hey, it's almost time to pin them ears back. Hey,
Sack time.
you know, a whole bunch of garbage great comes. A whole bunch of garbage. Let's pin our ears back. Get some pressure on this one,
Their ass is getting tight. You're going to start doing something tricky.
Tricky probably didn't mean leaving 290-pound Pelham McDaniels unblocked. The Chiefs' young defenders did pin their ears back, and the result was 5 sacks of Steve Young, 3 49er turnovers, and a serious lick by Kansas City safety Reggie Tongue. Defensively, San Francisco's single coverage schemes allowed the Spider-Man to weave his web. Everything in Marty Schottenheimer's game plan frustrated the 49ers.
First and goal at the 1-yard line. Toss play, right side, Marcus Allen, a halfback pass. Now Allen's going to keep it. Now he's going to throw it. And the pass is touchdown. It's a touchdown. Acrobatic catch for Ted Thompson. Oh, man, what an unbelievable play.
They cannot hold us. And we pound. We pound them today. And we pound them today. They cannot hold us. We pound.
San Francisco felt that power one final time in period 4.
Gannon against the blitz, throwing long, deep right side, reaching up, Rison's got it, touchdown, Kansas City, Andre Rison.
By game's end, even the Chiefs' defense was scoring points.
Intercepted by McMillan, 10, 5, touchdown, Mighty Mouse, touchdown, Kansas City.
The results were decisive, albeit somewhat unexpected. A blip on the radar screen for San Francisco? Perhaps, but quite possibly a season shaper for a hungry Chiefs team whose playoff stock goes up with each passing week.
We had our day-to-day. They had a rough one. But hey, what we are involved with now is what we set out to do, which was 10-3. Let's do what I think is the greatest thing you can do when you win, and you win decidedly. You do it with dignity. You don't have to say a word. You just walk tall, walk proud, and more importantly, in this group, you walk shoulder to shoulder. Congratulations.
Coming up on HBO's Inside the NFL, highlights of the Packers' big NFC Central victory over the Vikings, and a look back at one of the key players involved in one of the most famous plays of all time, the Cowboys' Jethro Pugh.
I'm not going to miss that Where Are They Now on Jethro Pugh, a man that I personally helped make Defensive Player of the Week a couple of times. I'm also not going to miss this week's cover story because Nicole Watson has the story of the man who has more rushing touchdowns than anyone else in the history of the NFL. Of course, that's Marcus Allen.
When you can go to work and one, do what you love to do and be passionate about it.
His 100th career rushing touchdown.
To me, that is peace.
Give him the 10,000 yards.
I'm certainly riding the crest of tranquility.
Big hole right side touchdown for the Hall of Famer.
It seems only fitting that Marcus Allen would find peace on the football field. He has suited up and played in 219 games, which is more than any other running back in league history. As we continue to marvel at his age-defying acts, Marcus believes his 37 years is just another number.
I think the rule is that once you hit a certain age, it's downhill. But I sort of live on a different plane, the vertical plane, I guess, if you will. To me, if I stop playing while I can, then I'll die. I mean, just a part of me dies, and I don't want to do that.
In the last 5 years as a Kansas City Chief, Marcus Allen has redefined himself as a specialist, the short yardage go-to guy. And with 121 career rushing touchdowns, no one in the NFL has ever scored more on the ground.
It's fun doing what I'm doing. Traditionally quarterbacks have been able to play a lot longer or into their late 30s and early 40s, if you will. But as far as a running back is concerned, that's never happened. So hopefully this will be the rule and not the exception.
But he is the exception, and Marcus also assumes a greater responsibility of being more than just a technician.
I know my role here, and it's a very strong role, so it's just not as a reliever. It's as a team leader, the big brother. This is really my team, and it's a lot of people's team, but this is my team because I'm going to make sure that we do the right thing and we stay focused and we grow as a team and grow as individuals.
I think it's Marcus's team because we all know that his tenure with us is very short, and for him in such a celebrated career to make it to the dance one more time, I think is something that we owe to him, and in return he really wants to give to us.
But the Chiefs have a history. Even though Marty Schottenheimer has led his team to the playoffs 6 of the last 7 years, they've only made it as far as the conference championship once.
The fact is that we have never been able to get to the championship game, which has been our singular objective. It goes beyond just commenting and using words in that regard. You have to go out and you have to speak clearly through your actions. And that's the standard that Marcus has set for us.
He knows what it's like to get to the championship game. He knows what it's like and what it takes to be the best team in the world. Especially this year, we've decided we're just going to be a big family. And he may be a big brother in this family, but he's just another one of the guys. We're kind of feeding off him.
That experience is something that the elder statesman talks about in his new autobiography. A personal perspective that puts the gossip and bittersweet days of the Raiders behind him, allowing Marcus to concentrate on what is most important, winning a Super Bowl in San Diego, where he grew up.
You have to think about now, you don't want to hang around one fight too long like a boxer, You want to go out on top, and I visualize San Diego being that successful departure. Hometown, I certainly felt like that we're going to be there and it's going to be this, great story, big ending. I mean, why not?
And if by chance the Chiefs do win it all, Marcus Allen would have led 2 teams in 2 different decades to the promised land. What an ending that would be to an already Hall of Fame career.
I watch the Chiefs every week. I can assure you, without Marcus Allen, they would not be talking about going to the Super Bowl. I can also assure you this, Mr. Buoniconti, no letdown for the Chiefs after beating up on the 49ers, because in Kansas City, this is Raiders week. They're coming to town, and Kansas City has owned them, beat them 14 out of the last 16 times.
Well, make it 15 out of 17, because they got to be licking their chops lately. They're going against an invisible offensive line of the Oakland Raiders that almost got Jeff George killed last week. Raider fans, look for backup quarterback David Klingler to come in the third period because Jeff will not make the whole game. I like Kansas City.
Lenny, you'll be happy to hear that Jerry and I now are firmly on the bandwagon with the Kansas City Chiefs.
For the Chiefs.
That's one of the fastest defenses I have ever seen.
How about Dan Williams and Vaughn Booker, defensive line? They'll put more pressure on this week.
Reggie Tongue, Jerome Woods in that secondary. They can fly that offensive line. And Rich Gannon, you know, Rich Gannon is creating a little quarterback controversy now in Kansas City.
You know something? Where do these front-running turkeys come up now? They picked the 49ers last week. We picked the Chiefs, didn't we?
I don't remember that.
Two things for you gentlemen. First of all, no quarterback controversy because Marty says Elvis Grbac is the quarterback when he is healthy. Number two, they don't want you back on the bandwagon in Kansas City. They don't like you. Plus, the special teams doing an outstanding job. Pete Stoyanovich last year had a terrible season. He's kicked 19 out of 20 field goals so far this year. The Chiefs have put everything together. I like Kansas City. You know, Kansas City fans and also Jacksonville fans will be watching what happens in Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh will be hosting Denver. So that means playoff spots at stake.
You know something, Lenny? If Denver loses, most likely they're going to be the wild card in the playoffs. And this week, you have the Bus versus the Broncos. Who's going to outrun whom? You know, Denver's defense against the run ranked 19th. Going against the second-ranked running game of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Bus wins. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I look for this to be the John Elway show because this Pittsburgh defensive secondary has been giving up some big chunks. And this week, they'll be forced to move Carnell Lake from the cornerback back into the safety position to help against Terrell Davis and to play Shannon Sharp. That leaves Chad Scott out there one-on-one. No way. John Elway wins that battle. I like the Denver Broncos.
And Greg Lloyd. Greg Lloyd's in the hospital with an ankle infection in the National Football League, hospitalized. I don't understand that. But if you saw last week, if you're a Steeler fan, don't go to sleep. Stay up all night. Jake Plummer threw the deep ball. He got sacked 9-10 times. I never saw anybody carve up like the deep ball. Elway with pass protection, he'll carve him up even more. I'm going with Denver.
This is a playoff type of game, right?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
We know that John Elway is capable of handling the pressure in playoff type situations. What we don't know about is Cordell Stewart. This is the first year he's been the quarterback the entire year. He did play in a playoff game last year. He's over 10, by the way. But in the ball game last week against Arizona in overtime, it was Cordell Stewart's passes that got him in position to win the game. He did it last week. He'll do it again this week. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers. John Elway and Dan Marino were the best quarterbacks from the class of '83, but the starting quarterback in Cincinnati out of the class of '84 is showing he's still got something left.
The anticipation of game day is just as great whether you're a rookie or a 14-year veteran like Boomer Esiason. The 36-year-old Esiason has learned to cherish every NFL Sunday. And last week he once again embraced the day by passing for 378 yards and 4 touchdowns. Equally as impressive was Eagles 25-year-old quarterback Bobby Hoying, who idolized Esiason while growing up in Ohio and is already being worshipped in Philadelphia.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have a quarterback. Hoying is back. He's setting. He's looking. He is floating it for the end zone, and it is. We're waiting for a signal. It's a touchdown, Kevin Turner!
Hoying threw for more than 300 yards and 4 scores, and Ricky Waters added nearly 100 yards on the ground.
The Waters, who comes up the middle. He has a first down at the 10. He's in the 5. He wants it in for a touchdown, Ricky Waters!
Esiason erased a 13-point fourth-quarter deficit, however, to give the Bengals a 1-point lead with a minute to play. In this quarterback duel between heroes of the past and future, the young Hoying got the final shot and showed poise beyond his years in driving his team into position for a last-second win.
Drama at the Met. This could be the Eagles' season right here. The ball is spotted. The kick is away. It's gone! The Eagles win it. Finally, the Eagles win it.
The resurgent Eagles need another big win this week against the Giants.
Come on, buddy. We want to run. Me and you today. Come on now. Let's go look for a fight today. Let's go look for one. You can't find out, start one. Let's go. Be aggressive.
Aggressive was an understatement in describing the Buccaneers and Giants brawl in the Meadowlands last Sunday. In a hard-fought physical game, linebacker Jesse Armstead used every emotion to motivate the Giants' defense.
Hey. We hit the 28. We can intimidate his ass. Hey, we can intimidate his ass. don't work today, little we letting you know. We letting you know.
Hey, let's go.
Come on, let's talk to them. Let's talk to them over there. Yeah, baby. We don't have a long day, me and you today. It's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a long day. Turn it on.
Turned out it was a long day. But for the Giants defense.
Here's the snap we're going to throw. Dilfer. Trent Hoxie on fire sideline. Dunn's got it. 35.
Tampa Bay's super rookie Warrick Dunn simply could not be intimidated.
30-yard line. Warrick Dunn.
Behind a Bucs offensive line that consistently blasted the Giants off the line of scrimmage. Dunn ran for 120 yards and set up all 3 Tampa Bay touchdowns.
Dilfer, play action, drops, looks, throws the pass, caught, Alstott, touchdown, Tampa Bay.
2 touchdowns by number 40 Mike Alstott and another by Eric Rett lifted the Buccaneers to their first ever victory in New York. And with 9 wins, the Bucs are assured of their first winning season since 1982. Despite the loss, the Giants still lead the NFC East by 1 game. This Sunday, the Bucs host the Packers with first place in the NFC Central at stake. Last Monday night, Green Bay was trying to win in Minnesota for the first time since 1991. And Reggie White and the defense were primed to snap the Metrodome jinx. White recorded 2.5 of the Packers' 6 sacks as Green Bay slammed more holes into the Vikings' sinking ship. The Packers' offense, meanwhile, is sailing smoothly, and Brett Favre's second quarter scoring strike to Robert Brooks put Green Bay ahead to stay. Dorsey Levens rushed for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns as the Packers secured a playoff berth. The defending champs seem to be peaking at the right time, and they can clinch their 3rd straight division title with a win this week in Tampa Bay.
Well, finally, the Packers solved the problem of winning in the Metrodome, but it's not going to get easier. They're traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Bucs. The last time these 2 teams met was in October at Lambeau Field. It was a dandy of a game. The Packers won it 21-16.
You know, Lenny, the Packers won that football game on the scoreboard, but when you watched it, I thought physically the Tampa Bay Buccaneers whipped them in that football game. And now you have all this emotion that's going to be in Tampa Stadium this week. You think about the fans that have been waiting there for 15 years. Waiting for a moment like that. Plus, you have the Green Bay Packers coming off of 2 very emotional games against Dallas and Minnesota. They cannot possibly be as jacked up as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like the Bucs to win here.
I think the whole question is, can Reggie White, can Gilbert Brown, can they slow down the running attack of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? You got to remember, Green Bay is ranked 25th in the league against the run. Not very good. The first ball game, Warrick Dunn, Mike Alstott and company ran for 217 yards. I think this week here, Tampa Bay pounds the ball at that defensive line. Trent Dilfer goes into play action passes, and the Bucs win.
And it's December. And it's in December. Defense wins. And you got to talk about Tampa Bay defense. They've given up 38 points in the last 4 weeks. That's defense. John Lynch proves every week he's the best safety in football. And our guy, Chidi Ahanotu, 2 more sacks. He's proven what kind of player he is. And you got to look at Tampa Bay's schedule. Whoever did this to him, they've beaten 6 real good football teams. After this week, they've beaten 7 real good football teams.
Wait a minute. Last week, you were bad-mouthing the Packers. You thought they wouldn't run Dorsey Levens. Well, they did. He gained 108 yards. He's got 1,200 yards on the season.
They don't have the guts to run him 3 weeks in a row. He won't run this week.
Don't say that. We picked Tampa.
They got the guts to do it. They got the sense they're going to run him once again. You know, you talk about the defense of the Bucs. How about the offense of the Packers? 110 points in the last 3 ball games. If everything is equal and it gets down to the quarterbacks throwing the football, I'm going to go with Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers. You know, while the Packers are on a roll, other teams in the NFC are going south for the winter, including the Dallas Cowboys.
Before the game, Barry Switzer managed to get a firm grasp on Jeff Fisher. But when it counted, Switzer's Cowboys had problems putting the collar on Fisher's Oilers. Trying to snare Air McNair proved vexing for Dallas. Steve McNair ran for 1 score and also threw a touchdown pass to offensive lineman Eric Norgaard, number 64, who had lined up as a tight end. Tennessee held a 24-7 halftime lead before Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin produced their second scoring connection of the day.
By Irvin at the 30, skates free at the 25-20, 15, 10, 5, big play.
But Dallas was never able to overcome the effect of 5 turnovers, 4 of them in the first half.
Fires out on the left flat, caught out of the backfield across the 40, and he fumbled the ball, picked up by the Oilers, and they might get a touchdown. Down the far side, and in for the score is Robertson.
The Cowboys' 6-7 mark is their worst at this point of the season since 1990, and that was the last time they missed the playoffs. 2 weeks ago, Mike Ditka seemed ready to sign into a rest home, but last Sunday, he was back to writing up the Saints' game plan. There was a new flourish in the person of Billy Joe Hobert, New Orleans' 4th starting quarterback of 1997. With Hobert in command, New Orleans' offense, ranked last in the NFL, assumed a 13-3 lead at halftime.
Running play, Zeller's trying to turn it outside. He's at the 5, bounces off a tackle, keeps going. 2-1, Zellers gets it in the end zone, touchdown.
But Fred Lane propelled a Carolina comeback.
He's off the lane, hits the 2-yard line, bounces off a tackle, takes it outside, touchdown. And Fred's going to do his little whatever that is.
Exactly.
With the game deadlocked and just 5 seconds remaining, Doug Bryan kicked a 45-yard field goal.
Here's the snap. Placement. Bryant's kick is on the way, and it is up, and it is good.
Iron Mike probably won't become retiring Mike anytime soon, but he does need to slow down and appreciate a sport that can be hectic at times. The Redskins were in a real hurry to face St. Louis, and who could blame them? The visitors owned an 8-game losing streak, and early in the contest, Washington's haste threatened to make waste of the Rams. Gus Frerott's pass to number 47 Larry Bowie resulted in a 39-yard touchdown. But in the second quarter, St. Louis retaliated behind Amp Lee, number 31. A Lee touchdown even matters at 10 apiece, and St. Louis eventually secured a 20-13 lead. But Washington knotted the score with less than 2 minutes to play in the game.
To Mitchell, running to the right side, dives, touchdown, Washington Redskins.
Only 44 seconds were left on the clock when Lee's 45-yard catch and run put the Rams in range for their first win since the 4th week of the season. Jeff Wilkins' 25-yard field goal guaranteed a rare victory for St. Louis.
The kick is up, and the kick is good. And Wilkins got it with 4 seconds.
The Rams' upset over the Redskins was mirrored by an intense one-on-one war of wills that was fought in the Kingdome last Sunday. A test of coordination and complexity matched 2 gritty opponents. There was a pretty good game on the field, too, as Atlanta scored 17 unanswered points that included 2 touchdowns by Jamal Anderson, number 32. Warren Moon brought Seattle back with a pair of scoring passes.
Boone looks left, fires in the end zone, caught by Galloway, touchdown Seahawks. Warren sets up, gets a screen to Broussard in the middle, 20, Steve breaking outside right, breaks a tackle, 15-10, Broussard to the 5, touchdown Seahawks.
After Broussard's third quarter touchdown, hometown fans figured that the choke was on Atlanta, but the ensuing kickoff demonstrated that the Falcons hadn't come to Seattle to play patty
Comes
cake.
down to Hanspard on the right side of the 10 to the 15 to the 20. Hanspard to the 25, breaks a tackle. Hanspard 30, Hanspard 35, 40. Hanspard, where's the speed? 50. Hanspard, go all the way. At the 30, at the 25, at the 20. Hanspard, at the 10, 5, touchdown.
Byron Hanspard's 93-yard touchdown led the Falcons to their 3rd straight victory, while the Seahawks suffered their 3rd loss in a row and almost certain elimination from the playoffs.
It is time for our weekly Inside Update. Tampa Bay coach Tony Dungy contacted the league office this week about trying to remove an interception from Trent Dilfer's stats. Dungy was angry because Dilfer threw an interception to the Giants' Tito Wooten that clearly bounced off the ground. Well, the league doesn't change officials' mistakes, and Dilfer's 9th interception of the season will stand. The league does, however, change mistakes by official scorers and statisticians, which is why Dilfer was credited with an interception several weeks after a review earlier this year. Alonzo Spellman is back practicing with the Bears this week and will play, not start, against the Bills on Sunday. It'll be his first action since September the 21st. He's appealing his suspension, and there are disagreements about back pay and refusals to take tests for steroids. But for now, Spellman is back, at least for the next 3 weeks, in a Bears uniform. And now for some more inside information, let's go to Chris Collinsworth and Gary Myers.
All right, Lenny, thanks. Gary, we have a lot to cover today. Let's start with the Eddie DeBartolo situation. One of the things that really surprised me is I didn't think NFL owners could even own a casino.
Well, Chris, this really hasn't been an issue the league has had to make a decision on in the past because, for the most part, we've been talking about casinos with sports books, and that's strictly against NFL rules. But now, with this proliferation of casinos around the country without the sports books, the league considers this a gray area, and it has been under review since June. They have to make a decision. Is there a difference between these casinos without the sports books and racetracks, which owners have had in the past?
All right, I know I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but if Eddie DeBartolo is convicted, could he lose the franchise?
Well, that would be up to Commissioner Paul Tagliabue to make a recommendation to the NFL owners to take a vote, and then it would take a 3/4 vote by the owners to force him to sell. It would be under the clause of, conduct detrimental to the league, and it's something that could happen.
How will this impact the 49er football team?
Well, speaking with Gary Plummer, one of their linebackers, he said that, 8 years ago, this might have had a much greater impact because then DeBartolo was a lot more visible. But there's so many young players on the team now, and DeBartolo has not been around that much. He doesn't expect this to be much of a distraction. And that was the message DeBartolo gave the players in an emotional 5-minute meeting on Wednesday morning. Don't let this be a distraction. At the end of that meeting, Chris, the players gave him an ovation.
All right, Gary, another surprising move this week. Jimmy Johnson, the Miami Dolphins, signed controversial Lawrence Phillips to a contract. You talked to Jimmy. What do you have to say?
Well, he really considers this a no-risk deal for the Dolphins. He did not invest a draft choice in Lawrence Phillips. He's only paying him about $9,500 a week for the rest of the season. He says that he's told Lawrence Phillips he's not going to babysit him. He's not picking him up to drive him to work. He's not driving him home. And I said to Jimmy, what happens if Lawrence Phillips is late for a meeting? How do you deal with him? He says he treats each player differently. If Lawrence Phillips is coming off a week where he just rushed for 100 yards, he sits him down and tells him not to be late again. If he's coming off a week where he fumbled 3 times, he cuts him.
That sounds like Jimmy. Well, Leon Lett certainly picked a good week to come off the drug suspension. He has not made the front page this week.
No, but he's under tremendous scrutiny by the NFL because now that he's back, he'll be tested up to 10 times a month for the rest of his career. I spoke to Jerry Jones, and he says he has a good support group for Leon Lett in Dallas, headed up by Calvin Hill and his player programs. This is the perfect time for Leon Lett to come back to the Cowboys. In the last 2 weeks, Dorsey Levens and Eddie George have combined to rush for 300 yards, and Leon Lett, by far, is Dallas's best run stopper.
All right, Gary, thanks. We'll see you next week.
Okay, Chris.
Well, the past couple of weeks, the Cowboys' defense has had its problems, but the Cowboys do have a proud tradition of tough defenses. Perhaps the best of those was the doomsday defense of the 70s. And this week, Curt Gowdy profiles one of the cornerstones of that team, Jethro Pugh.
'67, the NFL championship game, Dallas versus Green Bay, the Ice Bowl. Bart Starr scores the winning touchdown on a quarterback sneak. Packer lineman Jerry Kramer became a legend. But what about the man who got blocked?
The next morning, I got up, went out to get the newspaper, and this picture was on the front page, and I was just stung. And so I got in my car and drove over to Coach Landry. I said, Coach Landry, you got to do something about this. And he said, Jethro, there's nothing you can do about it. I said, well, why not? He said, Jethro, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it because that play is going to go down in NFL history.
Jethro Pugh couldn't rewrite history, but he went on to achieve greatness as a key part of the Cowboys' doomsday defense. In 14 seasons, all with Dallas, he played in 23 playoff games, more than any player before him, and won 2 Super Bowls. Following his retirement in 1978, Jethro stayed in Dallas pursuing a career in real estate, but within a few years, he went bankrupt and got divorced.
It was just a low point in my life. If any way that I could have prevented it, I would have done it. I knew I could come back. It wasn't the first time I had been down.
The father of 2 persevered. As owner of a gift shop in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport, Jethro slowly developed what is today a thriving business with 6 locations inside DFW, the world's second busiest airport.
The airport is all impulse buying. People don't go to the airport to shop. It's all impulse.
At 53, Jethro is a very hands-on managing partner despite being slowed by 6 knee operations. And he takes great pride in having made it a family business.
My son is out there with me now, which is very, very helpful. And matter of fact, he knows more about the operation than I do.
On the job, Jethro meets many customers who remember the happier days of America's team and have grown disenchanted by the Cowboys' recent off-the-field problems.
In the Cowboys situation, I think this thing just keeps going on and on and on. And it's sort of getting like the O.J. Simpson trial. You know, you're getting a little tired of it, you know.
Today, there's no turmoil in the life of this cowboy, however. Jethro never gave up as a businessman or as a player.
Someone told me that the Ice Bowl probably the best play that ever happened to me. Otherwise, I've been long forgotten. And there could be some truth to that. So I guess that's a negative becoming a positive again.
Jethro Pugh is a man who faced adversity several times in his life. He didn't quit. Instead, he fought to make his life better, and he succeeded.
The famous Ice Bowl, the quarterback sneak by Bart Starr. 3 people are involved. Remember earlier in the year we had the Where Are They Now?
Right.
Kenny Bowman, the center for the Packers. He wasn't happy because he was never given credit for the double team. Now you have Jethro Pugh, the victim of the double team. He's not happy because they pick on him. And how about the only guy being happy is Jerry Kramer, who was given credit for the whole thing.
What's that double team? That's no big deal. I get triple teamed every week on this show, ladies and gentlemen. Last week it happened once again in our pick segment. We all went 8-5. So great minds, I guess, think alike.
If we're all tied, I consider myself winning the thing.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too.
Tie goes to you. For the season, Chris is still hanging up there in the number
Good
1
foundation
position.
on the bottom.
Yeah, baby.
Earlier in this show, we picked several games. Now it's time to pick the rest. Atlanta is hot. 3 of us like the Falcons to defeat the Chargers. Nick likes San Diego. Buffalo will win their 2nd straight game as the veteran players will not allow that team to quit. We all agree the Bills will defeat the Chicago Bears. Indianapolis has lost a lot of close games. They'll lose another close one. This week will be to the Jets, who are hit with some major injuries. Tony Banks is playing better for the Rams. I like the Rams, but Nick, Chris, and Jerry, they like the Saints. Seattle has dropped 3 straight games, but I think that'll change this week. My friends favor Baltimore to get a win and try to salvage Ted Marchibroda's job. We all agree the Redskins will lose in Arizona. Now for the rest of the games in more detail. We'll start with a guy who won by virtue of a tie, Jerry Glanville. Minnesota at San Francisco. The Vikes have dropped 3 straight. Niners coming off their worst regular season defeat in 17 years.
Ooh. How about the Vikings? They lost their number 1 quarterback, Brad Johnson. Everybody knows how good he was. But 2 weeks ago, they lost Jeff Christie. Here's an all-pro center. You can't keep losing these types of players. But what's mysterious is John Randall, which is the best defensive tackle in the league. No sacks in 3 weeks. I'm going with the 49ers.
And how long has it been since Randall Cunningham has played in the game? It's got to be like 3 or 4 years,
95,
right?
95.
He was out of football, and his first assignment is to come in and play against the San Francisco 49ers defense. They ought to be in a good mood this week. I'll take the 49ers.
No, we all talked. Remember last week we did the game to show up in San Francisco.
Right.
We talked about the running game and how to change it. Well, Garrison Hurst is hurt. He's out for the year. And so there's no running game now for the San Francisco 49ers. Back to the past, but I still like the 49ers.
You know, the last time everyone said the 49ers are dead against Tampa Bay after that, well, they won 11 games in a row. They're going to get back on the winning streak. New York Giants at Philadelphia. These teams met in Week 1 with Dave Brown leading the Giants to a 31-17 victory.
Lenny, there is hoeing mania right now in Philadelphia, and deservedly so. This kid is making great decisions. I like the Eagles.
Hey, remember I said 3 bad quarterbacks don't
I remember you were killing this guy.
I don't know where I'm talking, but you know something? The Philadelphia offensive line much better. 17 sacks they gave up to San Francisco and Baltimore. Only 5 against Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. I like the Eagles.
How about the strength of the Eagles? It's supposed to be defense. 42 points to your Cincinnati Bengals. Unbelievable. But don't worry. The Giants have scored 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games. Put Dave Brown in, will you? I look for the Eagles.
I can't believe you're saying
Put Dave Brown back in there.
Let's talk about big playmakers, and it's amazing that the Eagles' Irving Fryer, 77 catches, over 1,100 yards. The Giants do not have that big playmaker. I like Philadelphia. All right, we got Detroit at Miami. Barry Sanders looks for an NFL record. 12th consecutive 100 guys. Is he amazing or what?
Yeah, he is amazing. But you know something? Last week, Tim Bowens, the defense lineman for the Miami Dolphins, finally woke up. He needs that kind of game against Barry Sanders. He will. I like Miami.
Well, the Dolphins think they get a break. They got Barry Sanders on grass. Guess what? He's averaging over 7 yards a carry on grass, more than on AstroTurf. I'm going with Detroit.
How about Charles Jordan of the Miami Dolphins? Here's a guy finally taking some pressure off of O.J. McDuffie. I like the Dolphins.
How about Herman Moore? He's going to exploit that Dolphins secondary. I like Detroit. Carolina at Dallas. The loser virtually eliminated from the playoffs, Jerry.
All the Panther fans are hollering, what happened? What changed? It's easy. Turnovers. In the 7 losses that the Panthers have, 4 turnovers a game. Hey, Cowboys, they're not any good either, but the Cowboys win.
You know, Troy Aikman's thumb was swollen up twice its normal size, and the Cowboys are playing awful, and I don't care. I'm going to pick them every week until they finally win a game. I'm staying with Dallas.
You know, Kerry Collins has had a terrible year so far. He's had a concussion, coming off a concussion this week. I like the Dallas Cowboys.
Leon Lett is back. Hopefully he's in the lineup to stop Fred Lane. Should do a better job. Be an inspiration for the Cowboys. I like the Cowboys as well. Well, that's our show for this week. Remember, Inside the NFL premieres each Thursday evening at 11 p.m. If you miss any part of it, you can catch it again Fridays at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 11 a.m. Make your picks on our webpage and see how your picks compare to ours. So for Nick, Chris, and Jerry, I'm Len Dawson saying thanks for watching the show the pros watch, Inside the NFL.
Hey guys, let's blow the damn thing up. We're going deep right. Deep right. Ready? Go.
Boom, David, boom. Boom. Turn right, boom, boom. David. Let's go. Let's lock him up right here. Lock him up, get a pick. Let's try to squeeze in there.
When we started the game, we said that this is the attitude play. This is an